Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and today we're doing an unboxing of the Sony doubled-in touchscreen radio. Today we are taking a look at the Sony XAV-V10BT. With this unboxing, we're going to show you everything that comes in the box. We're going to throw some power at it and show you the menu. Let's get started. Got a manual, and this is nice. It's an actual full manual. You don't have to download anything online. Got our radio itself. We have our wiring harness. We have our Bluetooth microphone. It comes with its own remote, and we got our mounting hardware. Alright, so with our wiring harness here that comes with the radio, this essentially is what you'll need to power the radio and all your speaker outputs. Looking here specifically at our harness, we have all these wires on this side, so your whites, greens, grays, and purples, those are your speaker wire outputs. So white is front left, gray is front right, green is rear left, and purple is rear right. And any wire with that black stripe on it is your negative wire. The one without the stripe would be your positive. Now we have our remote trigger wire. It's your remote out wire for external amplifiers, just in case you want to power an external amplifier that's there and available. We have a backup camera trigger wire. So essentially here, this purple white, if you put this to a 12-volt source, whenever the vehicle's in reverse, it's hot, like the positive wire on the reverse light. You connect that to that wire. This essentially will go into reverse mode to display whatever that camera input is displaying. We have a dimmer or illumination wire here. Dims the radio when the lights are turned on. And then we have constant 12 volts, or your memory wire, and your accessory here. So your accessory is what needs to be connected. When the key is on, it turns on the radio. And then finally, you have your ground. And then this grounds the whole unit. It's nice and long. So that's your wire. Finally, you have this long green light wire, and it's your parking brake wire. Now with Sony's, generally you can just go ahead and ground if you want to bypass it, or you can connect it to the parking brake wire, wherever that may be located in your car. This will allow for video playback and certain settings to be unlocked while in motion. So that's your main wiring harness here. Like I said, you have mounting hardware, the screws that come specifically for the radio to mount it on whatever various dash kit you pick up. Again, it comes with its own remote, which is kind of cool. You don't have to buy this separately here. And then your Bluetooth mic. Now generally we will mount these in a location that's as close to your mouth as possible, just so the party on the receiving end can hear you nice and clear. Comes with plenty of cable. And then finally, we have our radio. Let's get this out of the package. There we are. What's super cool about this radio, not only is it a digital radio, meaning it doesn't have a CD, DVD slot, so it keeps the chassis design nice, small, and compact, but it's also a single-DIN chassis, even though it's a double-DIN monitor. So this gives you a ton more flexibility in where you mount this. Let's say you only have a single-DIN opening. Well, you can mount this radio, even though it's a double-DIN, in a single-DIN opening, so you still get the effects of a full touchscreen with not a lot of space available. So looking here specifically at the screen, there's not much in terms of hard buttons on the left-hand side, but you have a home button, and if you hold it, you have attenuation too. It's kind of like your mute button. You have your volume knob, which nowadays these are starting to become hard to find, to come by, to have an actual volume knob on a double-DIN, but that's there, and you can also push it for options or select. Then you have your USB here on the front for easy accessibility, and an aux input. That's about it. Everything else would be just the touch screen. So let's flip this on the back. Now here on the back side, starting on the left hand side, we have your AM/FM Motorola style plug or input for your radio. Then we have our RCA pre-outs. Now this does not have a 2-channel output for a subwoofer, since generally subs are mono anyways. It just has a single RCA for a sub-channel output. So if you need two channels based on the amplifier you're installing, you can just get a splitter. We have our front and rear pre-outs for an amplifier as well, RCA pre-outs here. We have a mic input, which is that red 3.5 millimeter input, and then we have just below that our WR input or remote input for steering wheel controls. So if you have steering wheel controls, that's where you'd connect that port to your adapter. Now finally here we have this yellow one, which is your backup camera input on this. So if you have a feed from a backup, a rear camera mounted behind the vehicle, you'd run that feed up to the input of this port. We have a big aluminum heatsink. Then on the right hand side, since this is SiriusXM ready, we have a port ready for that, so you can pick up the adapter for that in case you're looking to add satellite radio to your radio. Then finally, we have a 10 amp fuse and our main power socket here, and obviously this is where the wiring harness that's included in the box will plug into, just like so. And then that's about it for the ports on the back of the radio. Super simple. This is a great radio. Doesn't have top of the line options, but it has a ton of options for the price that you pay. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to actually get this plugged in, get it booted up so you can see the interface. Okay, so we have this thing booted up for the first time here. Immediate reaction, it's a super clear and clean interface. Looks really nice. Now here across the bottom, it looks like it gives us a couple of options for different sources. Starting on the left hand side here, we have our AM FM. If we had satellite radio here ready to go, and the tuner module also connected, we could use XM radio. Right there in the center we have our Bluetooth audio streaming source. Then we have our phone source, and as well as access to the front USB just right across the top. We can move that across. We have our aux input here. We have an option to jump right to the backup camera. If you had one set up and you wanted to see what's behind you even going forward, you can switch to that source. And finally, you have your main settings menu. So if we go into our AM FM here, you have your presets here across the bottom. You can seek up and seek down. There's no forward and back hard button across there, so you have to rely on the soft buttons here on the left and right hand side. You can switch between the different FM as well as AM in case you have a lot of presets you want to set up. But again, you can go back and forth, which is super nice to have. Hit the little button on the right hand side and it gives you some tuning options. So that's about it for the AM and FM radio option. We'll go and hit our home button here. And you can see now that source is highlighted because it's basically showing the source that's currently playing audio, and you can do your volume up and volume down there as well. Now I really like the volume knob because it has a really good feedback to it here. It's not just a really loose knob. It does have little clicks, so you can really dial in the volume that you're looking for. Okay, so that's your AM FM. Again, satellite radio, we don't have one set up. It's going to say check tuner because remember on the back hand side there is that port. That port requires the XM tuner, which we don't have hooked up at the moment. But if you're looking to hook that up, it's like $29-30, something like that on Amazon. You do have to pay for a subscription, but generally it comes with about 3 months free. Next thing here, we have our Bluetooth audio. Now we don't currently have a Bluetooth phone set up, but when you do, essentially all you have to do is go into your phone's Bluetooth menu and select the radio as an available source. You click on that and confirm it on the screen here as well. Same thing with the phone. It's going to tell us that there's no really device set up because it's unregistered. There's nothing there, but you can take and receive calls. You can unhook calls, look at your library, and once your phone is set up, you can actually dial here on the radio as well. You'll be able to set up your favorite call. So if you want to preset recently or commonly dialed phone numbers, you can there across the bottom. USB, again, USB option would be available. So if you put in a thumb drive or a USB stick here to stream audio, that option would come up. Same thing with aux. Aux just takes you to the aux menu and that port becomes live. Finally, rear camera. We don't have a camera set up, but again, you don't have to be in reverse to only use the camera then. You can use the camera at any time in addition to just going in reverse. And finally, let's look at your settings. With the settings, we have our general settings, we have our sound adjustments, we have our visual, and then finally main Bluetooth settings. So let's go into general. You can switch between languages. You can set your demo on or off. You can set your date and time. Now, since we don't have a speaker hooked up, we can't hear the audio beeps. but we can set that on or off. Rear view camera, you can set that to normal. And you can adjust the rear guidelines, which is cool. You can reverse the image, which is also nice. Steering wheel controls, you can go to preset. What's really cool about this is you can custom set steering wheel controls, so you don't have to stick with the ones that are out of the box. So depending on your install, you can really set that up the way that you like. So when you go into custom there, you can hit the little gear icon, and essentially from this point, when you hit the button on the steering wheel, let's say we want to set this one up, we'll hit the button on the steering wheel and match it with the corresponding button here with steering wheel controls. Now, obviously, like I said, we can set up the clock. We turn on the time there. Factory reset puts the system back to as it were right out of the box, and your firmware version there, and then open source licenses. So that's your general area under sound. Extra bass, so this essentially provides a little bit more power output. Be careful in terms of adding extra bass, because you don't want to add more distortion to the signal, but this will fill in areas where bass may be lacking. Subwoofer EQ, so this is your band, multi-band equalizer, as well as your subwoofer gain adjustment here. Currently it's set to off, but if you add a sub and want to add a little bit more to the sub specifically through that RCA output, you can there. And then again, you have your presets: R&B, rock, pop, hip hop, dance, EDM, jazz, soul, country, and a custom where you can move these up and down just depending on what you want done. Balance and fader, you can move this around exactly where you want it. We got our crossovers. This is super nice, both a high pass and low pass crossover, so you can filter out frequencies to your door speakers or mids and high speaker. Let's say if we turn this on, we want 80 hertz and above be sent to those speakers, and 80 hertz and below will be filtered out. Same thing with a low pass to a sub. So for the sub output, we can set that up as well. So with a low pass filter, let's say we want 80 hertz and down to go just to the sub, so you can set that on up. Or if you want some sort of overlap, you could do that as well. So let's say we do 100 hertz there and 80 hertz there. It's totally up to you and your setup. Subwoofer phase, you hit normal versus reversed. Then we have DSO as off, low, middle, and high. Okay, visual here, you can set your wallpapers to different wallpapers, which is kind of cool. So depending on your dash interior, if you want to match it, you can. With the dimmer, dimmer is on auto. So let's say if we want the dimmer on, auto generally means from here you can set the dimmer level, the intensity of the dimmer, you can even add a hue to it if needed. Touch panel adjustment there. That's your visual. And finally, Bluetooth, your Bluetooth settings. We want to make sure this is on so you can use that. And you can also reset the Bluetooth and clear out devices in case you have too many paired. So that's about it. Just a quick overview of this radio itself. That's about it we have for this video specifically. If you want to see more of this radio, or at least see it installed, we're going to be putting this in the 1966 Cadillac DeVille. So check that video on out. We're doing a whole system install on that, including this radio. We'll have a link in the description as well as a card up above. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you like what you saw, and don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next video.